Goodbyes don't get any easier, and today we say goodbye to Mason Cox in the Collingwood black and white stripes. So, leading into the weekend, we had four uncontracted players heading into 2026. Mason Cox, Tom Mitchell, Lockie Sullivan, and Noah House. Now, Justin Leppich said that Friday morning at 10:30 they were going to have a chat to all these players and seeing if they get another contract for 2026. And since then, we haven't really heard anything about it except for today, Saturday afternoon, where Mason Cox put up a farewell video. And let me tell you, it was tear inducing. It was sad. He is just such a gentle giant. And like most of us and like most players, just a little bit of white line fever. And he had that American bravado about him, that chest out sort of, you know how the Americans are, and that's what Mason Cox brought to the game. And what he's done to grow the game in America is second to none. And I think, if he doesn't get a new club next year, and I'll talk about a little bit about that a little bit later, but I really do think that he would make such an incredible, like it's obvious for him to be the US ambassador for the football league. I think that would be absolutely incredible. I remember reading somewhere decades ago that they were going to do a an LA based AFL team. I think they were going to be called the Crocodiles. I'll find it. I'll find it. If I can find it, I'll put the heading down here. But yeah, look, Mason Cox won't be at Collingwood in 2026. Now, Coxie started way back in 2016, so has been here for just, a decade pretty much, or thereabouts, a little bit longer. And I really remember signing him, and he was at North Melbourne. He came down to North Melbourne for a little bit before ultimately signing with the Pies, and he was just this lanky American, and it was just an experiment. Like, he was only going to play a handful of games, and we weren't going to see a lot of him. And at the start, that debut on Anzac Day where he kicked the opening goal, Darcy Moore kicked the ball to him, took a mark, kicked the opening goal on Anzac Day, was absolutely huge, and he looks special. And
on the numbers, feeds it back inside. More low trajectory kick. Oh, this could be a fairy tale. Mason Cox. It is a long way from Oklahoma State University to 20 metres out of the MCG. He's a cowboy, as they all are at that university, and he rides it home. What a beauty.
In those years leading up to, or still learning and stuff, there were incidents that it was just classic person hasn't grown up with football incidents. It's throwing the ball over the outside of the goal line against Geelong. That really big hit in early 2018 on one of the Hawthorn players. He copped his fair share of hits online from not only Collingwood supporters but people from around the league, and I've probably said a couple of things as well about him. But Mason, he just persisted, right? He is the epitome of you can do whatever your heart desires, and that's really says something about his character, and it's a really good lesson that we all should learn. Like, if you want something bad, you go after it, and you might get knocked back and you might fall flat on your ass. He was doing it on the biggest stage in front of 100,000 plus at the G, 90,000 plus at the G. Like, he was doing it on the biggest stage that you can, falling on his ass but getting back up. And what's that saying? It doesn't matter. You can fall 8 times. It's about getting up that ninth time. That's what really says something about your character. And Mason Cox is that guy. 2018. Like, how could we forget his 2018 season? We'll never forget it. He'll go down in Collingwood folklore. That preliminary final was just absurd, right? Absolutely absurd. But what kind of gets lost as well is his grand final, is his 2018 grand final. And imagine we had gone on and won that game. Mason Cox would have been up there, etched in history. Like, he had a great game, kicked that goal that extended the lead in that last quarter, was an absolute presence. Obviously, go on and lose that game. Then he has that eye injury that he could have retired from, and that was another obstacle. He had to put the goggles on. He had to play with goggles. He's getting ridiculed for that, but it's helping him, and he just never gave up. So many people would have given up. I probably would have given up, and I don't like giving up. I probably would have given up, but he kept persisting because he kept wanting. I don't know if it was just to prove something in himself or to prove something to others, but he just kept going, and that's what we love about him. And then ultimately in 2023, he gets his flag. He gets his flag, and the scenes with the American flag and the trophy, absolutely incredible. Now, 2025 was a little bit different for Coxie. Was out of the side most of the year. Only came back into the side for stints when we really needed him. Obviously, comes back in for mixed stay. Was in for the Gold Coast game, the Fremantle game, and then comes back out of the side. Then comes in for mixed stay in the qualifying final, and was going to be played bloody great that day. Played absolutely great that day. Kicked two against the Lions in the prelim, and could have had his second flag. You know what I mean? Um, but this year he was up and down, mostly playing in the VFL, and I've said it on camera here, and I got called out the other day, for my opinions on Coxie, but he started the year off really really poorly. Started the year off really really poorly, but as the year progressed and went on, his VFL form was absolutely immaculate, and he was playing so bloody well. And I was surprised he wasn't called up sooner when we needed that second ruck, because McStay had to do all of these jobs. Like, we should have put him in the team a little bit, or when McStay's form was dropping, or whatever it sort of may be. And he was the best player in the VFL side for that. I reckon that the last third of the season. He was doing really really well, and I reckon Collingwood were umming and ahhing about this decision, because they were. I remember reading, it was like, look, we'll give you a contract, but you'll probably be playing in the twos. If you can find a place where you'll be playing more in the senior side, you're more than welcome to go. And that's, with getting Jack Buller and no Myercheck, and then McStay coming back into the lineup with Charlie West, there's just no room for Mason Cox in our side, unfortunately. And that's the sad reality of it. It's going to be the sad reality of, probably Tom Mitchell, Noah Howe's, Lockie Sullivan, maybe. I think Lockie Sullivan, out of the four, is the only one that gets a contract for next season. Just a 1 year contract extension. But Mason Cox, I think he will find another team. I really do believe that someone like Essendon will come calling for him, because you've got to remember that Goldstein isn't on their list anymore. They'll need a senior ruck. I think they've only got that really young ruckman. No Draper now. I think Essendon just makes the logical choice for Mason Cox, but we will miss him in black and white. If he plays for the Bombers, Anzac Day is going to look a lot different. But I wish Mason all the best. Whenever any interactions that I've had with him has been absolutely genuine. He's just such a nice guy, and I do wish and hope that he does find another club. And if he doesn't find another club, he is going to be an absolute star in the media. But Mason, thank you for everything that you have done for this club. You will not be forgotten anytime soon. We love you, mate. USA, USA. Sweep you later.